Hello and welcome to the Pup Mommy. This is a channel where I share my over 30 years of practical hands-on experience of what I've learned owning, loving, and caring for dogs. And that also includes all the mistakes I've made as well. Now, this is the second in a three-part series about adopting a shelter dog. Now, in this second video, part two, I'm going to be talking about what happens when you actually get to the shelter. So let's get started with that. Now, you've made up your mind that a dog is right for you and you want to go to the shelter route. Now, sometimes you may have looked at Pet Finder to get a sense of what's available in your area. But when you get to the shelter, first of all, when you go, it's always wise that if it's you yourself as an adult, maybe if you have a partner, a spouse, maybe you go together. Otherwise, you can go by yourself, well, obviously if you're an individual, or if you have children, it's a good idea to take your children with, maybe one or two of them, or maybe not, maybe two, as many as, let's say, you can handle responsibly, especially when, you actually get into the kennel area and little kids see the dogs and everything. So the other point I wanted to make is if you have another pet, like another dog, another cat, it's also a good idea to either bring them the first time you visit or the second time you visit. I'm all for kind of a two-time visit because you want to see the dogs at maybe different times of day or different moods, different behaviors, and so forth. Now, when you get to the shelter, there are going to be staff and or volunteers there. They're going to ask you if there's a particular dog or dogs that you're interested in. Otherwise, depending on how busy the shelter is, you may have to wait a little while because there are other people walking up and down the aisles. And then when they allow you in, you basically have, they may tell you, well, this side has these dogs, this is over here, or this is over here. And you basically have the freedom to walk up and down the aisles and stop at each cage, take a look at the dog, what dog interests you. And on each cage, you're going to see the intake evaluation form. That form is going to have the name of the dog, the age, the breed if it's known. Otherwise, it could be a mixed breed. They'll tell you what the mixed breed is. They'll also tell you if it's owner surrender, was it confiscation, was it picked up as a stray. Based on the information that they have, that's going to be on the form. Don't expect a full-blown, long, lengthy, listing. It's very high, what we call high level. They're going to tell you if the dog is up to date on vaccinations, any known medical conditions, any known behavioral conditions. In some cases, you may see on the intake form rescue only. If that's the case, you have to bypass that dog because that dog may have specific issues upon evaluation that the staff feels that this dog will only be available to a rescue, because the rescue then will maybe take the dog, work with it, rehabilitate it, work with one of their trainers, or else get outside medical help for the dog. So those dogs are basically off limits to the general public. But as you're going up and down and looking at the dogs in the different cages, always keep in the back of your mind that what you're doing at a shelter is when it comes to adopting a dog, it's a balancing act between your head, your heart, and your instincts. You may go in wanting a dog no more than 40 pounds, short hair, nice activity level because you want to take it jogging, and you don't want a dog that barks too much. And then you walk out of the shelter with a Chihuahua. Things like that happen. But always, again, keep in the back of your mind what it is that you're looking for. And also realize that when you're in that shelter and you're looking at these dogs, there are going to be some dogs that are going to be hyperactive. All right, possibly because they've been in the shelter for a few weeks. They may spin around, they may bark, they may do this against the kennel cage, and they may get very excited to see you. That doesn't necessarily mean that when you get that dog home that it's going to be super hyper. There's a lot of noise in the kennels. You're going to notice that. And a lot of dogs have kennel stress, and they react to kennel stress in different ways. As I said earlier, sometimes they spin around, sometimes they claw at the walls, sometimes they, and especially when you have dogs like Malinois and Shepherds and Huskies, the mental stress is terrible for some of these dogs. Another thing to keep in mind is you may see dogs at the back of the kennel. You may see dogs lying down. Some of these dogs are shut down. When you have a dog that's been living with an owner and then the owner surrenders it, whether it's because the owner passed away, or there are medical conditions or financial conditions or whatever, when that is an owner surrender type of dog, that dog has lost everything it's ever known. And it may just completely look dejected. It may be completely, don't come near me, I don't want to be touched. It's just like a person. You just have this horrible sense of emotional loss and mental loss. And you can see it in the dog. Does that mean that it's a bad dog? No, it doesn't. And other dogs who have been there at the shelter for a while, they may totally shut down, where they've given up hope of, everybody bypasses them, nobody wants them. Trust me when I tell you that dogs know. Dogs understand. And you're going to see, as after you've been in that shelter and walking up and down those aisles, it's really quite an emotional experience. It really is, especially if you love dogs. You look at the fact that you're here to adopt a dog, you want to maybe take them all home, but you can't. And then you have to just really, again, rely on head, heart, and instincts. Another thing you can do is there's always staff, volunteers walking around. They have their favorites. You can always ask the volunteers and the shelter staff if you have any questions or need a little bit more information about some of the dogs. They're more than happy, at least from my experience, to help you answer your questions, tell you that this dog takes treats beautifully, this dog has really good, we evaluated it, has excellent behavior, very friendly dog, wags its tail, loves to play ball, etc., etc., etc. Okay, when you've made your initial selections, all right, then you go back to the admin area, and they will then bring the dog one by one for a meet and greet. Now, a lot of shelters will always have a staff member present for safety and security reasons. At the shelter that I went to, they asked me if I wanted that. I said, yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm a good experienced dog owner. So, they were nearby, but basically I was given the dog on a leash. We went out to the play yard area. And when you are with the dog, let kind of sit there, stand there. If you're, let the dog kind of come to you a little bit on its own terms. Look and see and watch the behavior and the body language of the dog. Is it interested in you? Is it interested in the surroundings, or is it just kind of right there? Is it wagging its tail? And also always remember, sometimes too, wagging a tail doesn't always mean that the dog is friendly. It can mean the opposite too. But in this case, is the dog want to come up to you? Does it want to be petted? Is it happy to see you? Does it want to be with you? And look at the interaction between the dog and not only yourself, but let's say your child, your children. If you have a small treat, ask if you can give the dog a treat. How does the dog take the treat? Does the dog want to be petted? Does the dog sit by you? What kind of interaction is there? And then always remember too, that again, some of these dogs have been adopted and returned. Adopted and returned. We're trying to avoid that. So, dogs are very much like humans. Is this really happening? Is this really good for me? So take that into consideration as well, because dogs, remember, are sentient beings. They do have emotions. They do think. They do feel. Now, if you happen to make a kind of a semi-decision that, yes, I really like that spaniel, or yes, I really like that retriever mix, or yes, I like that pit bull. If you've got your dog or pet in the car, bring them in. All right, bring your pet in for a meet and greet, because the last thing that you want to do, and in fact, all shelters, that at least the ones that I have worked with, always tell you that before the final adoption goes through and you sign the papers, all members of the family who are going to interact with that dog should be at the shelter. The same thing is if you have a cat, if you have another dog, bring them for the meet and greet, because you don't want to get home only to find out that you're going to have this. And then all of a sudden you're going to have to, return the dog. You don't want that. So again, meet and greets are terribly important. And you have to feel comfortable with your decision. Hopefully you do. And if that is indeed the case, then you will be given some paperwork to complete, the adoption fee, they'll go through the adoption process, what is the return policy. They'll also give you everything you need to know about the dog that they know about being medically vaccinated. If the dog is spay or neutered, they'll give you all of that information. So that's what to expect. And, then when you, take the dog home, there are maybe some support services that they can offer you as well. Some have them, maybe some don't, depends on the shelter and the size. All right, so basically then you've got your dog on a leash and you're walking out the door. And in part 3 of this video series, I am going to take you through what happens when you bring the dog home, and what should happen before you bring the dog home, as well as when you get the dog home. What are going to be your expectations, or what should they be, and how to handle acclimating your new dog to yourself and to your home successfully. So that's it for this particular video. I hope you found it informative. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them. I have a service that I offer to people to help them find the perfect dog for their lifestyle and their personality. I'll leave my information in the description section as well. So thank you very much for watching. I do so appreciate your time. And don't forget to click and subscribe, and bye for now.